So here's the final list that I ended up on. I'm definitely have some card choices in here that are gonna get me banned from Trishla's stream immediately, but I'll attempt to justify some weird choices that you might see in this deck list right now, and also for some of the replays that I'm gonna show, some of the replays were from before the event changed to where you could actually face dark monsters or dark decks with your own dark deck. Before I made my previous deck was mainly something that I was only face light decks, so I had stuff like Radiant and stuff in there, and like I didn't run dark because obviously this card is useless against light decks. But then they changed the event to where I will execute against dark decks now, and obviously I adjusted a bit accordingly, and I took out the Radiants because Radiants aren't particularly good against the dark decks compared to the light decks. So first, it's important to go over what this deck lost in this event, or how nerfed is it. What this deck's missing, first off, is the chaos stuff, such as Safer, Chaos Based, and Bystials, Lubellion, and other stuff. Without Safer, you're basically missing the best one-card starter in your deck, quote-unquote one-card starter. And you're also the thing with the Baby Dragon and Chaos Base is they replenish your hand. So this deck has has discards throughout this combo normally, through such as Dragon Ravine, and in this case we're using Quad World because we're down bad. But normally the Baby Dragons and Chaos Base, they keep your hand size high, so not only is like we not have to worry about discard cost, you have free cards to discard, which is definitely not the case in this deck. So oftentimes, like, Ravine is a lot worse because you don't just have the free Baby Dragon to pitch. And the Bistio stuff, like you're missing Regain, you're missing Beast. Regain also nets you more advantage, and Beast is an interruption, as long with the Druisworm and the Baldrake and stuff like that. You're missing like basically half the interruption from your board normally. So we're also have to somehow try to make up for that. And secondly, and what I think is like arguably even more important that the deck is missing in this event, is the lack of Romulus. So when you have access to Romulus, that means you have access to Ravine at all times, and if you have access to Ravine, you have access to Tracer at all times. So normal D-Link builds don't have to max out on Tracer. They don't have to run a high rocket count or multiple Absolute Router, because they will always have Tracer, and as long as you have Tracer, you can do your full combo. In here, because you can't search Ravine, ergo you can't search Rocket Tracer, you have to max out on or run as many copies of Tracer as you can, because the only way to get to it is by basically hard drawing it, or hard drawing a way to search for it, and you need Tracer to your combos. Like I would say like 99% of your combos are only work because Tracer. So that's why we're running triple Dragon Shrine and Fuller's Burial, along with the double Oust Routers, to just add additional names or additional ways to get the Rocket Tracer. We also run 3 Tracers. Normal D-Link builds only run 2 because you have such high access to it, but you need to draw this in order to almost play the game most of the time. So with this, you have about 1, 2, 3, 6, 10, 11 ways to hard draw Tracer, essentially, and that's not counting the times where you draw Absolute Router with a different rocket, such as Recharger, Caliber, or Synchron. And to add on that, normally you don't see Caliber in these builds, but since the other problem is because you have to run such a high Tracer count, sometimes when you do draw a Tracer, but you also draw it alongside these extra consistency cards to dump Absolute Rocket to the grave, you can't cut these because you have to see Tracer. But if you draw a Tracer, then what do you do with these? That's why stuff like Rocket Caliber is another extender, where if you already have access to Tracer, you can still dump Absolute to just get an extender instead. So still gain value of it, and just not have this Dragon Shrine be extra copies of Tracers, because you only need one Tracer to play the game. Having multiple Tracers doesn't actually help you do much. The Strudel is the same way. You can dump this as an extender too, and fun fact, most of the time when you special summon from the grave, it's a level 4 or low. It comes out as a level 4 or lower dragon monster, so it can go into any of these 4 as well. And to move on to, I guess, continue on the deck choices after that, Chamber Dragon Maid with the Hospitality, you never see this. You will be crucified if you run Hospitality. Like, even Chamber Dragon Maid is an iffy pick in normal Dragon Link builds, but you would never run Hospitality. But this deck is so down bad right now that the fact that Chamber Dragon Maid represents 2 dragon monsters is huge. Because in order to do your full combo, you need basically 2 dragon monsters. You need access to 2 dragon monsters plus Boot Sector plus Rocket Tracer. So just having an extra normal summon that represents 2 dragon monsters along with Blackwing Dragon helps consistency, but also if you don't need the Hospitality, right, you can just search Tidying, and Tidying is a good piece of disruption. It helps make up for the lack of Branded Beast, Copium. And even if you draw Hospitality or you draw Tidying, it's alright because you still do have access to Chaos Ruler, so you can still attempt to mill something like a Chamber to make your Hospitality life, or mill Tidings to get extra summons from your chambers. Like, it still has that synergy. It's not a bad starter. Like, and you need like normal summons too, because the rockets, you don't need to normal summon the rockets, right? You can just you can just special summon them with Boot Sector, so these don't count as normal summons. So you want to get something at value from your normal summon as well. And Noctovision is like the same. We need more extenders, right? So play through interruption and stuff, and Noctovision is the best one since it's the only extender that gets you value after you use it as an extender. It draws you a card, and you don't need triple Chaos Dragon left in here. I only run this because I have 3, because I pulled from the Dragon Maid pack before we had a structure deck. So that was the only way to get the Dragon Maid cards, and I happened to pull 3 Levineer because it was in that pack. So I'm using this, but you definitely should not play 3. The same time, the way this deck works is the boards are really kind of mediocre, because you can end on Boral and Savage every time, but Boral and Savage is only 2 interruptions. So that's like quite, even for this event, that's like an average power level at best. So just, you can't search Levinger anymore. You have to hard draw this in order to access it at all, or hit it off the Pega Ruler, and having more copies of it means you're more likely to hit it off the Pega. So it's adding another piece to your end board, along with the Tidying, along with, you know, I'll get to what else we can use in the extra deck, but just Borland plus Savage is not enough in this meta, even in this low power meta, to fend off opposing decks. You have to get to the next turn. If you get to the next turn, it's fine, because your follow-up's really good with Striker Dragon accessing Recharger, and then that revives any dragon monster, but you have to get to the next turn. And 2 interruptions oftentimes is not going to get you there, so at least hand ripping, you know, it's another quote form of disruption in a sense, along with 6 hand traps. And because from playing against dark decks, Crow is way better against dark decks. It's probably the best hand trap against dark decks. Don't run Cycle Reader. You're gonna queue up against like Tier and with Cycle Reader in your hand. Like what are you doing, right? And for the extra deck, the Savage, like the standard stuff is like Savage, Ruler, Hot Red, Pisty. We'd have to go through the Delinders line. The Delinders line is something you don't need in normal Dragon Link, but again, this deck is missing half its cards, so going through the Delinders line gets you an extra level 4 body, so it's worth to do, because this deck is lacking on good extenders and of the such. And whenever you do the Delinders line, you go through 2 Striker Dragons turn 1, so you have to run the 3rd Striker Dragon just to have a follow up for the next turn. That's like an old ratio of D-Link used before it had like Chaos Roar and all the OP stuff. Quad Whirl, same thing, it helps if you end on Savage too. It at the end, if you go for Prepega and you hit like a rocket or something, this lets you modify your levels to where you can still end on a Savage after. Dark is you need specifically a Link 2 with these arrows in order to combo, which you'll see in the replays. Triple Burst, if you Dark take your opponent's monster to Snot Dragon, or if you for some reason have to go with Pega early in order to try to find Tracer or something. This is the alternative way to the combo. This is the way you combo normally in D-Link now, where you have to go through double Striker Dragon. You miss an extra level 4 body, but it's safer into Disruption as well. And of course Borderland. The IP Masquerena. So I mentioned earlier how this deck lacks hand size. That's why we run Azalea as the IP target instead of Unicorn, because I oftentimes legitimately don't have a discard for Unicorn. So yeah, this basically fills that purpose. If you make IP, chances are you went through Chaos Ruler, so you're 100% gonna have 3 spells in Grave. So you don't have to worry about this popping itself, and then it has an extra effect where they can't really attack over this either, because you can just pop it too. And Zombie Vampire, so if you want to play this, like, ideally this should be just access code. I'm trying to get cute, like I'm trying to add as much to the end board as possible. So like if I haven't milled, if I haven't accessed my chamber yet, if I haven't accessed my Red MD yet, at the end, even after going through a Chaos Ruler, I'm gonna make Chaos Ruler and Chaos Dragon Linear. I'm gonna turn them to a Zombie Vampire and try to mill more and try to access these two if I didn't access them at the start, or try to mill an Absolute Dragon if I didn't have the Dragon Shrine for it. Just to attempt to add more bodies to my end board, so I could activate Tiding without having to trigger Borderland. Because most of the time, Tiding isn't really live until you activate Borderland first, so that sequencing is kind of weird. And then you have an IP on the field, and you can't really use the IP because your only 2 monsters are Borderland and Savage on the field, so again, you don't want to have to use the Borderland early just to make your IP or your Tiding alive. So even just having more bodies like that, just having just the extra floating body to work with Tiding and IP is still worthwhile. And I guess that's all really, but yeah, that's 2 Levineers and Zombie Vampire, they realistically should just be access code and 2 random cards of your choice. Okay, this duel is just to showcase the basic combo, what you're trying to do. Again, this deck is hella consistent. I've been able to end on at least Boral and plus a level 8 Synchro Savage every single game when I've been able to, play and not get interrupted to hell, basically. Every hand produces that board. So, anyway, we're gonna start with Dragon Shrine. Dump Absol rather. And Absol, I'll pick up Rocket Synchron. Rocket Synchron we don't care about dark locking ourselves, we're not making Romulus or Seals, so I'm free to use its effect to revive the Absol Router and just get an extra body on board. And our opponent baits, I guess, an Infirm, that's an excellent Infirm bait. Because then what happens next is activate Ravine. Ravine, pitch the Dragon Shrine that we already used to get the Strudel, summon the Strudel out. For Synchron, go into Striker Dragon. And Striker Dragon add Boot. Link these 2 into Brute Enforcer. This is why you need the Dark level 2 to do this line of play. You need these arrows like this. So activate Boot Sector. Boot Sector, summon Tracer. Tracer will pop Boot Sector. Get a Recharger from the deck, very important. Go into Pisty and go into Striker. Again, we kind of have to do this line more, where we do the triple burst dragon less because this deck without the light monsters and the chaos stuff has a lot less gas, so you need all the extra bodies you can get. So to do this line of play with Delindrus, you go Histy, revive back any dragon, link it off into Delindrus, then Striker Dragon, pop the Delindrus, target Recharger, add the Recharger to the hand, send the Recharger to the grave, special summon back to Delindrus, special summon back the Recharger, any Recharger or Striker, whichever one doesn't matter, and then the Delindrus will summon itself because you special summoned a rocket monster. So now you have a Boral End out of these 3 monsters right here, link rating of 5. Then Boral End will target rocket Recharger to bring back Tracer, and then you go into Boral Savage Dragon, and that's how you do the combo. If you just have access to 2 dragon monsters plus Tracer, you have Boral End plus Boral Savage. At minimum, you can get a Twisted, you can mail for Pega, you can high roll, try to mail a Levianeer and all that stuff, but you at least end on those 2. Okay, so this hand is crazy. Forget about the Radiant. The Radiant was a relic from when I still played against light decks. This would be a Crow normally. Yeah, you go Striker, you get Red MD. Then I trigger Nocto here just to summon out. Plays into Nibiru, probably the wrong time to summon it, but I wasn't trying to think that hard. Go in the Brute Enforcer, again, another relic. This card almost never came up for the pop effect, so this literally should just be dark. Just think of it as dark. It effectively does the same thing. So Boot Sector, add Tracer get Recharger. Then this is the same Pistis, Striker, the Linders line as you saw from the last replay. Striker, pop the Linders, get the Recharger get back. Itself trigger Dill, go into Boral End, get back Tracer, and here's where I try to get a Twisted, because I want to add more to my end board than just the Savage. So we go into Chaos Ruler, try to mill 5, hit double Absol plus a Rocket Caliber, and then we can use Absol to get the Rocket Slinger from hand, special Tracer, dump the Strudel, summon the Strudel, and here's where it fucked me up because, fun fact, if you special summon the Strudel, you actually can't banish it to summon Red Eyes because you have to banish it as like a cost or something, but when the Strudel leaves the field, it goes to the bottom of your deck. So you physically cannot banish it for Red Eye. So I didn't know that, so my board looks kind of weird. I actually have to use the Rocket Caliber to summon the Red MD out, and then Red MD will summon the what's it called, the Hot Red, and then the Hot Red goes into the Jesus Christ. Okay, the Rocket Synchron plus the Chaos Roar goes into the Hot Red, and then the Red MD and the Strudel goes into IP, and then you set a Tidying. So this is like 4 interruptions, sort of, but the IP is kind of not very useful right now. Yeah, they just summon Marfa, go into battle phase, attack over the IP, which I'm fine with because it took their battle phase away at least, and the Exo is not breaking this board, so go into Caspatel, then you just negate it with Borland, and put them on having an extender. They normal summon Stella, and we'll just negate it with Hot Red. If they have an extender, we always have Tidying 2 at the backup, so there's no way they're making a play. That end phase Tidying, put the Caspatel back, and then our turn we're gonna Kaiju over to Stella, so now they're returning as their decks, they don't control a Exosister monster. Dragon's trying to dump Chamber. Tidying, bring back the Chamber. Get a search for the Hospitality as an extender. We go into Savage. Now we have 2 negates for their 3 back row. Plus Boral End. And yeah. In this game, in this Galactic Spiral, this should be a Destrudo. This is when I was testing Galactic Spiral because the Destrudo Red not being able to banish stuff for Red MD fucked me up the last game, and I got PTSD from that. So yeah, this should still be a Destrudo, this Galactic Spiral, but essentially it does the same thing this game. So our opponent opens Extravagant set 4. Nice. Real Dragon trying to dump Absol Router. Absol Router will get the Rocket Synchron. So this is a way to where if you just have Dragon Shrine, you can just normal summon Rocket Synchron to get back the Rocket Tracer. That's 2 Dragon Bodies on board. and you have a Tracer already, that's game. So normal summon Rocket Synchron. It gets we get metaversed into Necro Valley. I did not know Necro Valley was legal at this point. I was like actually sick. Now we go into Striker Dragon. Striker Dragon effect, add Boot Sector launch. Boot Sector summon both the Tracer and the Caliber. Go into Brute Enforcer, okay? So Brute Enforcer, I attempt to pop the Necro Valley and it gets negated. So yeah, once again, Brute Enforcer did not matter in this case whatsoever. Tracer popped the Boot Sector. Going to get recharges. Summon the Galactic Spiral, going straight into Borderland. Bro, you better have Compulse. Like you better have it. And it looks like they don't. Next turn, Demise, and they scoop because they didn't. Just you make me draw the out, you gotta draw the out to my Borderland too, and my floodgate or my towers puts you on a clock, unlike your floodgates. Alright, so this hand is bonkers, and my opponent opens with Extravagance. Dragon Shrine with Extravagance dumps Blue-Eyes White Dragon to dump Blue-Eyes Jet Dragon and proceeds to set 5 back row. Let him cook. So my turn, I'm just gonna normal summon Chamber Dragon Mate, and I only have 1 Surge Target left in my deck, which is Tidying, so, you know, go into Striker Dragon. You're gonna flip Torrential. That's a very early Torrential. And at least to get their Jet Dragon out, but you know, it's not like we don't have extenders or anything. Special Tracer, Hospitality, chain Tracer to the Hospitality to get a free recharger, then get the what's it called, the Chamber Dragon Maid back, on the Brute Enforcer. This is the one time Brute Enforcer mattered, and it's not because it popped anything relevant. It's only relevant because it gets to discard a Tidying, to put the Tidy engraved, so that you can revive the Chamber Dragon Maid. Out of the entire like 1k VSP I got with this deck, this was the only time Brute Enforcer mattered. So yeah, just make this a dark. Then you go, I special summon Noctovision. Here I messed up my zones quite heavily, but at the same time, you should probably go for this play anyways, and you shouldn't go for the Delindrous Dragon play into 4 back row. I would have been heavily punished that way. You just do the standard Dragon Link method where you go Pissy on the left, and then Triple Burst at top. Nocto's gonna let us draw a card, which is the amazing draw. That saves us. Pissy now can revive a monster, and they got Wakero plus Sanguine. I haven't seen these. I literally have not seen these cards in months on Master Duel. So yeah, we're gonna take away the Striker Dragon we tried to revive, but because we're sacked, so we drew an extender off Noctovision, so we can just special summon the Halberd to Link Point, get Borderland, negate the Eldlich, bring back Recharger, and go into Borderlord Savage with 2 negates up and just attack over their field. Then set 2, we have Imperm and Tidying as well, so this is like 4 interruptions. I'm feeling pretty good at myself. You're not gonna fucking believe what happens next. So I negate the Sanguine just because their back row didn't do shit. So I'm like, it's nothing. I can just negate their engine, right? Here's the reason why their back row didn't do shit. It was Witch's Strike that was their back row. So yeah, my entire field, every card I have goes bye-bye except for Borderland. And the Blue-Eyes Jet Dragon comes back. And they're gonna summon back the Golden Lord. Putting back putting a Wakero back to grave. Enter battle phase. He doesn't know. Let's read the first line of text of Borderland Dragon. Cannot be destroyed by battle. Okay. So Borderland, I'm gonna target the Jet Dragon, bring back the Recharger. Fun fact, they could not declare a replay because Recharger cannot be targeted for an attack while you have a dark monster special summon the extra deck, which we do in Borderland Dragon. So their Eldlich crashes, not knowing that Borderland cannot be destroyed by battle. So Witch's Strike resolving for like fucking 6 cards, but being unable to out of Borderland is the classic. Alright, so this hand looks good. It has a starter and 2 rockets. The problem is it has no tracer. So I'm going to normal summon Chamber Dragon Maid to add the Hospitality. Go into Striker Dragon, hit the boot sector. And I'm going to play the boot sector to get both my rockets out of hand. And I'm going to use the Hospitality to get back the Chamber Dragon Maid, and we're going to get it twisted. We're going to go into Chaos River, Chaotic Magical Dragon, because you can't go for the Lindris play without access to the recharge in the first place. So if I go Chaos Ruler, the worst case scenario is I'll just do the triple burst play anyways. So Chaos Ruler mill 5. We hit a Nocto Vision. So add the Nocto Vision to hand. Then I also hit a Titan, so Titan's gonna revive the chamber, and that's gonna let me special summon Nocto Vision. And here we can go Dark. Finally the correct link to draw a card, draw into a chamber, very useful. Chamber into Pisty. And then special summon Levineer to hand rip my opponent for 1, and then turn the Levineer and the Dark into Triple Burst. And Triple Burst will bring back the chamber that we banished. Go into Borderland. Borderland, negate Chaos Ruler, bring back Rocket Caliber and attack, and then just make Hot Red and set Dragon Maid Titan. So this is like the one in like 100 hands where you can do a combo with Borderland plus Synchro without access to Tracer. You just have to hit Insane off Chaos Ruler and open like 2 extenders, which Rocket Monsters are basically extenders because of Boot Sector launch. And plus Chaos Strike Levineer plus Nocto Vision. So yeah, just draw 4 extenders plus mill an extender off Chaos Ruler, then you can do full combo without Tracer. Yeah, easy as that. This is why we run so many ways to access Tracer. They're gonna Raigeki, which will negate, and then they're gonna negate their own life points and FF. So yeah. So I hate to say it, but this deck is not top tier this event. It is not among the 3 best dark decks you can be playing, in my opinion. And also the fact that you can queue up against Dark now means that anytime you queue up against branded Despia or tier elements, you just have a 33% chance of automatically losing the game because they draw Super Poly and your entire field is gone. There's nothing you can do to play around it. It kills you when they go first, it kills you when they go second. There's just nothing you can do. So yeah, if you want to play a deck that can, for this event, that can abuse Super Poly because you're only queued up against dark decks now. I got just the video for you.